Larry Kudlow.
Did you know Larry's here?
Yeah. How could anybody tell?
This is
Larry?
a fabulous headline that Jackie was reading.
I mean, we aim to please, Larry.
Yeah. Well, we are so glad that you're here to react to that breaking news with us. So more to follow on that front. But meanwhile,
I got to change my whole lineup tonight.
Larry's going to start writing his show. No, you got to do our show right now.
If my producers are watching this, get moving on this.
there we go. Taking notes. All right. Well, we're also following, the news of today's inflation report.
Yeah.
Bidenomics, the White House is defending Bidenomics because August inflation data coming hotter than expected, actually.
Yeah. This is the second month in a row that it's actually picked up.
Right.
You look at the numbers, 0.6%. So that's a 7.5% annual inflation rate if you did it on the monthly basis. But the 12-month is 3.7, so that's edged up. And the core is 4.3, so that's still very high. And if you go down, services 5.4, excluding energy, they're 5.9. These are not really solid numbers.
We put up the real household income numbers earlier in our show.
Yes.
Made the point that they came down from 2021 to 2022 because of this.
Yep.
Those are historically ugly numbers, Larry.
I'm reading some of the accounts. This is the worst drop since 2010, back when Obama and Joe Biden was vice president. And the poverty rate remained very high, 11.5%. Biden talks about, what does he say, the middle out, the bottom up. Well, the bottom's going down and the middle's going down. And oil prices, because of we're letting OPEC Plus, which is Iran and Venezuela and Saudi Arabia and Russia. So gasoline, $3.85 today, AAA, $88.71 for crude. Brent is $92. And the 10-year is 4.25%. I mean, you got problems here. Look, these are problematic issues.
Well, I'm curious what you think the Fed will do and should do, which are probably maybe two different things. Because, like you just said, Americans are feeling the pinch of this inflation at every turn, whether it's maintaining the car, buying food, now powering your home. It's about to become winter. But we also have interest rates that are high that are also hitting us all. So
mortgage rates about 7.5%.
Any rest for the consumer in the future?
I don't think the Fed will raise the target rate. I think what the Fed should do is keep pulling back on their balance sheet. Okay, Federal Reserve assets, or what used to be called the monetary base. That's the source of excess money in the economy. Professor knows this. So just keep doing that, okay? Let interest rates do what they're going to do. Just haul in, Brian, the monetary base, okay? Then they've taken about $1 trillion out, but it's still very, very high relative to 3-4 years ago, okay? So just keep doing that. That would be my recommendation. But the inflation battle, getting to 2% is going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, because I think you're running somewhere between 3 and 5%. And the Fed's job, it's going to be hard. So we probably haven't seen the last of the Fed. But I don't think they're going to do anything. Was it next week, the meeting? I don't think they're going to do anything.
Well, they're taking a victory lap because they're saying we brought it down from 9.1%, but they haven't taken into account that people have been suffering the last 2.5 years, and that to jack something up just to bring it down doesn't actually make you look good, kind of like gas prices.
No, that's a good point. CPI, the level of the CPI is about 17% above when Biden took office. And that's what you're describing. And things like gasoline prices, you're $3.85, okay? When he took office, it was about $2.20, $2.30. So you're quite right. And if there's more work to be done. Look, the trouble here on the fiscal side is there's still spending. So that the increase in federal spending for FY23, which ends in a couple of weeks, is about 10%. And the deficit is going to come in above $2 trillion. So that adds to the liquidity in the economy, and that adds ultimately to
So
the
nothing's
inflation.
changed. Nothing's changed, basically. The spending's still happening. Why is this going to
I
get better?
have 1 minute left with him.
You do
Can
it.
I
You
just-
do it.
Bidenomics.
Washington Post opinion piece talking about Biden, saying he's too old to run in 2024. They're also saying that he should have reined in Hunter's business dealings instead of, piling on. So now we've got this impeachment inquiry coming from Kevin McCarthy. That's a lot. I'm just going to lob it at you.
David Ignatius I think he's not some far left guy. He's the one that wrote this column. He's a foreign policy specialist, but he's a very sensible guy. I want to just say, I don't think it's Biden's age. I think there are physical problems here that they won't acknowledge, okay? Let's not give 80-year-old. There are a lot of 80-year-olds that I know who are terrific out there, very, very energetic, okay? And I know a 77-year-old who's running for president who has more energy than people 25 years younger than him. And I know a 76-year-old who does a show every day, plus other segments on other shows every day, who still has a lot of energy, despite the receding hairline. So I don't want to, in other words, I don't think it's just about age. I think the problem is Bidenomics is a failure, the foreign policy is a failure, and family incomes going down is a failure.
By the way, Romney says he's retiring because he's hit 76, and he says that's old enough.
Well, I just don't buy that logic, okay? Mitt Romney is a friend of mine. He's a very smart man, is strong character. I don't want, he's just in the Trump derangement syndrome. That's a problem for Mitt. I thought he would retire. And I hope, I'll say this on the air, I've said it many times, my friend, your friend, our colleague, Jason Chaffetz, would make one hell of a great U.S. Senator. Jason, by the way, is a former chair of the House Oversight Committee. I mean, he would be a fabulous senator. So I'll just say it again. Run, Jason, run.
Okay.
Run, Jason, run. In fact, we should invite him on my show tonight.
We got the campaign manager here. Larry Stapp is rewriting his show as we speak. Larry Kudlow, thank you for being here, sir. Be sure to tune in to that elusive Kudlow episode tonight, weekdays, every weekday night, 4 p.m. Eastern.